Parents, I want to address something that is causing a lot of confusion and, quite honestly, a lot of guilt in our parent community right now. Every week, parents come to me and ask, Doctor, did screen time cause my child's autism? And every week, I have to sit them down and explain because the answer is not what they expect. It is not a simple yes or no. And the confusion between the two is causing parents to either panic unnecessarily or miss the things that actually matter. So today, I am going to clear this up. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what the research says, what the guidelines are for children with autism specifically, and most importantly, what you should actually be doing at home. Hello everyone, I am Dr. Lalit Mittal, neurodevelopmental pediatrician and director at Giggles Clinics, Delhi. Now the first thing I want to tell you is, you are not the first parent who is sitting with this question. In our clinic, this comes up almost every single day. Parents will say, my child watches YouTube for 2 hours. Have I done something wrong? Or they will say, my child will only sit quietly when the screen is on. These are real situations and they deserve a real answer. So let's start with the most important thing. What does the research actually say about screen time and autism? The current understanding is this. Screen time does not cause autism. Autism is a neurodevelopmental condition related to genetics, prenatal factors, the gut microbiome, and epigenetics. These are things we have discussed in detail in our earlier videos. Screen time is not a root cause. However, and this is the part that many people miss, screen time can worsen the challenges a child with autism already faces. And that is a very different statement, not the cause, but a factor that can make things harder. Now, why is this distinction important? Because when we say screen time causes autism, it puts parents into a panic. It creates a guilt spiral that actually takes attention away from the real interventions. Interventions like therapy, sensory support, and early identification. Now, here is where I want to get specific, because the effect of screen time on a child with autism is different from the effect on a neurotypical child. And this is something that is not discussed enough. Think of it this way. In our brain, there is something called synaptic pruning, which we have discussed in our biomedical webinar. As a child grows, the brain prunes away unnecessary connections and strengthens the important ones. This is how language, social skills, and attention develop. Now, in children on the spectrum, this pruning process is already delayed or disrupted. The connections are not forming in the same way. What does a screen do? A screen provides what we call passive unidirectional stimulation. The child is receiving information, sound, color, movement, but they are not required to respond. There is no back and forth. There is no joint attention. There is no turn taking. And what are the most critical skills we are trying to develop in a child with autism? Exactly those things. Joint attention, turn taking, responding to communication. So when a child with autism spends large amounts of time on passive screen use, we are not just occupying their time. We are replacing the very activities that are essential for their development. The most important thing here is, it is not about the number of minutes alone. It is about what the screen is replacing. Now, what are the guidelines? Let me give you something practical that you can actually use. The American Academy of Pediatrics and our own Indian Academy of Pediatrics have the following general guidelines. And I always say general because these things have to be adapted to the individual child. For children below 18 months, no screen time except video calling with family. Why? Because below 18 months, a child cannot yet understand what they are seeing on a screen. They cannot transfer it to the real world. So the stimulation they get is not meaningful learning. It is just stimulation. For children between 18 months and 5 years, maximum 1 hour per day and only co-viewing. Meaning, a parent is sitting with the child, pointing, naming, asking questions. What is that? Is that a dog? What sound does it make? You are turning passive viewing into an interactive experience. For children above 5 years, 1 to 2 hours per day as a general limit. Now, for children on the autism spectrum, here is my specific recommendation from clinical experience. We follow these guidelines as a ceiling, not a target. Meaning, if your child is getting 1 hour, that is the maximum, not the goal. And the type of content matters enormously. Educational content, where the pace is slow and language is clear, that is best. Fast moving cartoons or YouTube reels are neurologically more stimulating. They increase sensory load. This can worsen meltdowns, sleep issues, and attention challenges in children on the spectrum. Now, the question I always get is, Doctor, I understand this, but my child will not sit without the screen. What do I do? And I want to be honest with you. This is not a switch you flip overnight. The screen has become a strong reinforcer for your child. Removing it suddenly will cause significant behavioral distress. That is not the approach. The approach is gradual replacement. Let me explain what I mean. First, identify what the screen is giving your child. Is it the visual stimulation, the sound, the predictability? Once you understand that, you can start introducing activities that provide the same sensory input through a different channel. If your child loves bright colors on screen, introduce sensory bins with colored objects. If your child loves the music, use musical instruments or rhythmic play. Second, introduce structured screen breaks, not abrupt shutdowns, structured transitions. 5 more minutes, then we go outside. Visual timers are very effective for this. Children on the spectrum respond well to visual structure because it reduces the unpredictability of transitions. Third, replace passive screen time with interactive screen time. Video calling with grandparents, simple cause and effect apps where the child has to tap, respond, make a choice. These are fundamentally different from passive viewing. And fourth, and this is the most important thing, please do not use the screen as a reward for good behavior. And do not remove it as a punishment. Both of these make the screen more emotionally significant to the child, which makes reduction harder over time. So let me summarize what we have covered today. 1. Screen time does not cause autism. It is a neurodevelopmental condition with multiple factors. The screen is not one of them. 2. For children on the spectrum, screen time can worsen the development of joint attention, communication, and sensory regulation. Not because the screen is toxic, but because it replaces the activities that build these skills. 3. The general guideline is 1 hour maximum per day for children under 5 with co-viewing. For children on the spectrum, treat this as a ceiling, not a target. 4. Gradual replacement is the strategy, not sudden removal. Understand what the screen is providing your child and find other ways to meet that need. Now, as I always say, these things cannot be generalized from child to child. If you are seeing significant behavioral changes around screen use in your child, increased meltdowns after screen time, difficulty sleeping, increased stimming, that is a clinical signal worth discussing with your developmental pediatrician. If you have questions about your child's specific situation, you can reach us at Giggles Clinics in Pitampura or through our contact in the description below. I will leave you with one question, and I genuinely read every comment on this channel. Tell me, what does your child watch on screen most? And have you noticed any patterns in their behavior after screen time? Drop it in the comments. It helps me understand what topics to cover next. If this video was helpful, please share it with one parent who needs to hear this. See you in the next one.